Hello traders, this is a Stray Dogs weekly video. As always, subject of this video is larger time frame analysis of the S&P, Nasdaq, Russell and German DAX. And first to cover what we have fundamentally for this week, and then I will go through weekly, daily and 240-minute charts of these indices, starting with US indices first. So this is a shortened week with Memorial Day in US and Spring Bank Holiday on UK on Monday. And this probably means much lower liquidity and thus smaller daily range to be expected on Monday. And this week we don't have any important earnings or news except from the China manufacturing PMI on Friday. Now what do we have today is a final day on EU Parliament elections. Then we had already that British Prime Minister Theresa May resigns and that the Brexit team continues, that Huawei case threatens to become a technological war, and that US-China trade talks have no solution in sight. And this is the main fundamental driver for now on the markets. Now let's go to the weekly charts of these US indices. So this is a weekly chart of the E-mini S&P futures. Down week, last week, the same on Nasdaq, but with the lower low, and same on Russell with the lower low again. And Russell is still the weakest of the indices, and thus very important for us to observe its behavior. Now let's go to the daily charts. So this is a daily chart of the E-mini futures, and like I said on Friday, no need really to be overly bearish on Friday in day trading, because on Thursday, which was a good down day on all indices, markets hit the larger time frame support, all of them, and then made a bounce, just a bounce on Friday. Friday was a day in front of the holiday, and it was to be expected that that day could be just a consolidation and a bounce from these larger time frame supports. And breaking this kind of large time frame supports is really a process, as Jim Dalton said today in his tweet, that these kind of things are process, and now the job that we as day traders, as swing traders have, is to assess the quality of this move, the quality of these bounces. Is this market and other markets are going to just make smaller bounces and weaker bounces that would suggest that the breakdown is to come? And if that breakdown come, then we should really be ready to know what could possible targets be. A possible target on the S&P could be daily 200. And just note that markets can spend plenty of time being trapped in between these two moving averages, because this blue one is 50 and this red one is 200 is the ones that majority of traders and institutions use for gauging the market strength, for gauging the strength of the trend. And look at this here, how much time there were between these two moving averages. Let's move on to Nasdaq. Nasdaq also lost its 50 on the way to the 200, and Russell, which is in my opinion very important to observe, again false breakout above the important resistance, in this case as the weakest of the all. Both 200 and 50 presents a resistance in this case. Not only that, Russell also lost its support here, which corresponds, this here corresponds to the S&P here. Lows from the Monday of May the 14th. And the Russell is already below it, and on Friday it made a bounce from another larger time frame support. So those are the things to keep in mind and to watch what the price is going to do here. Are we going to see a breakdown or not? Now let's go to the 240-minute chart. This is S&P, and here there was a good resistance that were tested several times, and then market made a move above it, below it, and at the end made a false break above the previous all-time high. Now going below this level here, which I'm calling it's a bit of a joke, like basement door, could mean a move downside into this range. Nasdaq situation is similar, so we already had a bounce from this support. Now we had another bounce with the lower low and now smaller reaction here. In case of the market, it is just going to bounce smaller and smaller and start to hug this support here. Then the next target could be this one here, then this one here, then this one here, in case of the bigger drop. And on the Russell, again, Russell that broke this support that was lows from the Monday 13th, and now breaking it, this support could act as resistance. So this is the thing to watch on Russell. What is going to be here? Is it going to be another, for example, false break and then swiftly rejecting and moving down? In that case, maybe even this support won't hold that. Maybe it is going to go lower. And just note that all of this, yes, we had some kind of wedges, bear flags, bull flags here, but really all of this from the 1st of February, all of this Russell is just one range, and this is the false break above that range and above this important resistance around 1600 on Russell. So Russell basically February, March, April and May, 4 months in the range. This is the range, and that is why it's important to observe the Russell, because if Russell is going to make a good breakdown of this range, that could mean that this range could go like this, just double this range. In that case, we could get a fib retrace of all of this is here, 61.8. So this scenario is nothing out of the ordinary. It's nothing that could not happen. It is a realistic scenario. In case of the bigger drop and bigger downside move, here is the target. And now let's see what German DAX is doing. Okay, here we are on the DAX daily chart. Now this is a CFD chart, but futures chart is looking exactly the same like this. So we had a situation here that DAX went inside this upsloping channel for a very long time, from basically entire 2019, from the year start, and now the first time we have here a significant lower high. And DAX that used this here when they made a breakout above the 50, they used 50 as a good support, and this lower edge of the trading channel was also here and here and here a good support. Now every support level, horizontal, trend line or moving average, is not going to be stronger with multiple tests. It's going to be weaker, and now we already had here a fourth time that 50 is acting as support. So this first, second, third, fourth, and again this lower edge of the channel. Breaking that could lead a price movement below, and note just that above the price and below the price we have plenty of unfilled gaps that could act as a magnet in case that the price is going to be near them. So now we are going to watch here this 50, and on the 240-minute chart it's looking like this, and here is the first support level in case we get a breakdown below this upsloping channel. And let's observe a bit those unfilled gaps. Okay, so here we are on the DAX cash index daily chart, and unfilled gaps that are here in this larger time frame support. Note that this larger time frame support is pretty wide because this is a daily chart, and we have here two unfilled gaps that are pretty close to each other, meaning that if market is going to break below these lows here and go inside this large time frame support area, then these two gaps could act as a magnet and could attract price to fill these ones here. And above, we are stacking now 5 gaps above the price. Now we are going to see what's going to happen, but looking at all of these daily charts, and in the situation that there is no solution for the US-China trade deal in sight, and that market really doesn't like such a thing, such indecisiveness, downside risk remains the higher. So higher risk is to the downside than to the upside, and those gaps could act as a magnet, and we could get a move to the downside, and in that case we could use zones from the lower time frames and also to make ourselves fibs, to observe that fib 38.2 is correlating with the daily 200, and we have halfback here near next larger time frame support area. And if you are interested in DAX trading, you can check my site, straydogtrading.com. Here's how it looks like, and you can also follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @straydogtrading. I tweet mostly about DAX and about indices that was mentioned in this video. I wish you a good weekend and good trading.